Hello! Hey guys! It's the 10th episode of the GRcade Twitchcast. Today we have another new member joining us, and that is the Legendary Slam. Don't get confused with Grum, like we all did for the first session. Lord Aten is back, Jazzem is back, and Doom is here as usual.
Hello.
And he's promised to stay awake.
Yeah, I'll try my best. I'm not laying in bed while doing this time. That will help dramatically. I was laying in bed that time, and it was not
Mistakes
a good
were made.
Yeah, yes, they were.
I think today the plan is to discuss a bit of Stadia and a bit of the Nindies Direct. First of all, though, recently that was announced by Konami was a arcade collection, Castlevania collection, and Contra collection. We're not going to go into too much detail about them, but are any of you guys planning on buying any of those collections?
Yes.
Anything from Konami? No.
Well, these are of their better days, one could say. And, if they're not going to do anything else of note, I'm at least glad they're making some of these games available. I mean, Pedz, do you have the list to hand for each of the collections?
I don't. I just wanted to bring it up because it was on my mind. I know that Castlevania has got... I think all of them have 4 games announced, and there's 4 unavailable. Unannounced, not unavailable. 4 unannounced.
Well, they are available right now, but...
Yeah.
But I believe they're coming out in September. I think the arcade collection's coming first, and the rest is supposed to come out in the summertime. So
yeah, the arcade collection is some pretty deep cuts in here. There's quite a few scrolling shooters. Some of it's go back quite far, so it's cool in terms of those being available. I don't think those are quite a few of these aren't really household names.
I know. I think Gradius or Gradius, as people call it. I thought Gradius. It sounds better than Gradius. Gradius.
Well, it's also the Gradius is weird. It's also called Nemesis, and it's also been something that I was going to say Grisor. I think that was Contra. But yeah. Like, they got that. You got Life Force. You got the notoriously not very good Castlevania arcade game, Haunted Castle. But you got to throw it in there.
Yeah.
Then you got like Scramble, Typhoon. I don't know what Typhoon is. So it's a cool little collection. It's not very I think it's just making some of these neat little obscure titles available, and this is meant to be like an anniversary celebration, so it's like, yeah, for some of the older stuff that people might not remember as well.
Yeah, I think out of the 3 collections, my priority would be Castlevania, then Contra, then Arcade. I don't know the price in the UK, but in the US, the price for each collection is $19.99. So hopefully around here it'll be like, 15.
It'll be 25.
No, it'll be 19.99.
No. Nah, but we can hope. I know that Blaster Master Zero 2, which we'll talk about in the direct, but that was $9.99. But when I bought it, because it came out on the day of the direct, it was $8.99. So it was £8.99. So it was. A number lower. Anyway, shall we get on to Stadia?
Yes.
So I remember watching it and thinking, this is some interesting tech. It sounds good. But what is things like input delay going to be like, and just delay in general, things like that? And what is it?
Yeah.
How well is it all going to work? And we've had streaming services like this before, quite a few times. Even there's also PlayStation Now, and then there's the xCloud stuff. And do you think Stadia is going to stand from the cloud? From the crowd?
My god!
That was such a good pun. Do you think you're going to stand from the rest of the crowd of other things? Do you think it's going to be better? Do you think it will be successful, unlike some of the previous ones?
Well, I think if any company is going to have the best crack at it, it'll probably be Google. I mean, the advantage with Google is all these other tech companies. These other companies have their experience in all other sides of this kind of what you need. But I think Google they're the ones who've probably got they've invested, I think, a little more time, money, and experience into streaming technologies and stuff like that. Like they're not just focused on one thing where Microsoft is kind of they're pretty much just focused PC, Xbox, and everything else is side projects. Where I think Google they've got a little more. I don't know. I just kind of feel like they might have a little more experience invested into this kind of stuff. I mean, I was reading that they are claiming that you'll be able to do 4K 30 frames a second from day one, and all you need is a 30 meg download speed to do it. They haven't said how much compression they're going to have to put on the quality, but they are saying 4K 30 frames at a 30 meg download. That's pretty good, let's be fair. If you could do that at a 30 meg connection, that includes a large portion of the world's population who would be playing this. I don't know what the average download speed is per country, but I don't know. What about put it this way: who here has more than a constant more than 30 meg download speed? Because I have.
Yeah, I do.
I think I have.
Yeah. So again, if we all said, yeah, we've all got that, then but the fact that there's 5 of us in here, but I know Slam for a fact doesn't have 30 because I've experienced his internet.
Mine's about 25.
Yours about 25. I've
might
got
manage, but
yeah. I've got, but I mean that's to stream 4K. So if you're doing 1080, then
fine. Anyway.
There's a good.
I've not got a 4K TV, so it's not
Exactly.
the market for me anyway. So I'm fine.
No, exactly. The theory, they got some weird theory that they're going to be able to eliminate input lag completely by having the controller connect to the server via Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I found that fascinating.
So it's connecting directly to rather than going to a box
through the console.
Yeah, rather than going to a box and then having to go, it's going straight through your Wi-Fi to connect directly, and that's how they're going to eliminate the input lag.
What the hell?
I can see that taking maybe like 5 or 10% of the issue off, but not a massive amount.
No.
I mean, you meant to off Wi-Fi, you meant to lose 30% of your speed from having Wi-Fi rather than Ethernet.
Yeah.
So don't know.
Would they offer an Ethernet connection for your controller? Because they're saying we're gonna our controller will connect directly to your Wi-Fi hub to eliminate the input lag. Because essentially what you're doing is you're connecting it straight to the server. It's not going to a box which is then connecting to the server. But like you said, is that going to limit where you go? Yeah.
I don't know how that would work, because think of it this way. I know I get input lag from playing a single player game with fucking 4K HDR if I don't play on game mode specifically. So I don't know how they're gonna get around all that with just working server side stuff. I don't know, but it's like Microsoft make a big deal about all the cloud shit, and that never came to fruition. And Microsoft at the time, I don't know about now, they had the most servers around the world, so they would have been in the prime position to be better off than anyone. If that's the case now, it's another thing, but
yeah.
It's going to be
sorry, man, I didn't catch you. You were cutting out. Hello?
Oh dear. Tech crew.
Walk into the light.
I said it's going to be a mess when it's launched. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as smooth as they think it's going to be.
Well,
No.
yeah.
They also reckon that with the server side stuff, because they're all connecting directly to the server in some way, I can't remember exactly how they explained it, that everyone would have exactly the same high quality online multiplayer. It wouldn't be like they said what tends to happen now is you all join into a game and it tends to go to the worst connection, so everyone's affected by that. And they're saying because of the connection to connection way they're doing it through the cloud bollocks, that wouldn't happen. Everyone would be on equal footing and be of a higher quality.
It's the kind of, this conference was the sort of thing. It talks in pretty broad strokes. It did put out numbers, but it's for better or for worse. I feel like it raised more questions than it answered. Is that fair to say? Because I feel like it wasn't very specific. There's a lot of, we don't know anything about pricing. We don't know anything.
No.
Well, I mean that's the big one, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pricing games. It's like Jade Raymond came out. I was like, yeah, we're going to be working on AAA games. I'm game director, and it's like, well, where are any? There's no mention of anything.
I can't get it. Like, just the thought of first-party games being exclusive to streaming, that sits weirdly with me.
like I said to you, I think
an option for big titles.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But it's funny because I was joking around with you and I said, "Oh, you can't trust Jade Raymond." She said that Assassin's Creed was going to be a massive revolution, and that didn't happen till the second game. So we're gonna have to wait till Stadia 2.
She was kind of right.
On the issue of pricing as well. I'm just reading through. I've got a couple of articles up just to kind of jog my memory and. Harris, the guy, what's his name? Something
Phil
Harrison.
Harris.
I can't remember his name.
Phil Harris. Phyllis Harrison or
Harrison.
Harrison.
He said Google will be spending $13 billion in infrastructure and capital expenditure to make this work. What? Like, they need to make their money back. So how much are they going to have to charge to make it worth their while? Because, like, I know they're expecting a lot of people to sign up to this, but $13 billion they've got to recover and then start making money on.
To be fair, how many people have got a smartphone? If you factor in all the smartphone owners, and they say there's like, I don't know, 2 billion smartphone owners, they wouldn't have to charge only like $10 each, and then they've made like 20 billion back there for a service. And then, and I reckon it will be a subscription-based service, and you will still have to buy the games.
Do you reckon?
I reckon it'll be a small fee for the service
to use it,
and then you can get like certain apps and stuff that would be free, I guess, with it. Like basically free app phone fucking things, like really low quality bullshit. And then you'll have like AAA games. They're not gonna go, oh well, it's part of the service, just have it. I know Microsoft have kind of done that with
Game Pass.
With Game Pass, but you know, I don't think Google will go the same route because it's Google. It's Google.
That says Google.
Well,
just like Microsoft did, which is a fair point because I mean, Microsoft did make money on the Xbox for years, and I'm not sure where it is now, but I know like it was finally within the 360 time that they were starting to turn the profit. So Google is probably looking at, like, as you say, too, that's not a small amount of cash.
Like Paul have just said, regarding making the money back, PlayStation and Xbox are always sold at a massive loss. The question is while that is the case for me, is Microsoft and PlayStation and Nintendo, I think for the Wii U, made their money back. Well, I don't know if they actually ignore Nintendo. PlayStation and Xbox make their money from software. If this is a service where you pay a subscription, how long will it take for them to make their money back? Or are they going down the route of you will have to buy the games as well?
Yeah.
Because 13 billion is a lot of money. How much do the other companies pour into R&D and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
The thing I find fascinating about this is that they're trying to. I got the impression they were painting this as quite an accessible way to play games. Like this is going to be something that people who can't afford big hardware, but at the same time, the kind of games they're pushing with this are the sort of AAA big games, because really, anything that's not especially demanded, I don't know if this is that necessary for. Like I saw people kind of arguing that with some like smaller indie games, like would they? Yeah. Necessarily, I mean, I know some indie games can be demanded on hardware, but like something like just a, like there's no point in like Undertale or the Undertale success have been on this. You know, it's and then it's like, well, if it is for the more accessible market, then it's but then they've also got to have access to a really good internet connection, which they might not.
And
not in the well off it. There's a lot of contradictory stuff there.
And the trouble is, they're saying obviously you could play it on anything, including your phone. I get the idea of being able to play, PC quality games on your phone, and that's great. But it's only going to be realistic if you have a Wi-Fi connection, a decent Wi-Fi connection, which means it's in your own house. Which means if that's the case, you're probably going to play on your TV rather than your phone, or because. It's not a case like the 4G connection these days will easily handle 30 meg download. That's not a problem, but you will eat through that data so quickly if you try and play it through like 4G. Yeah. It's not like, I get it. They're trying to suggest that, but for me, like you said, if it's a case of you pay for the service, then you've got to pay for the games, and then you've got to have a decent internet connection. And if you want to play, even if you want to play a single player game, if your internet goes down, you're screwed. Let's be fair, if you want, I'm not saying it's the ultimate way, but if you want a 4K, if you want a good 4K experience, it's not that much, it's not a huge outlay to spend on a 4K TV and an Xbox One X these days. That's less than £1,000, and you can have a 4K, essentially a 4K setup for that. We're not talking if they're targeting the PC market and they're essentially saying, to get this quality, you would have to be spending $1,500 to $2,000, but we will, you don't have to spend all that money. But for the sake of 800 quid, maybe less, even if you're lucky in sales, even less than 800 quid, you can get the 4K experience. You don't have to pay a monthly fee on it, and you've got the advantage of Game Pass and all that kind of stuff that comes with it anyway. Do you know what I mean? I don't see what the point is. If they're targeting the people who want who want high-end PC specs, who can't afford high-end PC specs, it kind of makes sense. But I'm happy with. I've still got the original fat Xbox One, so and I'm happy with it. There's been, I haven't once felt the need to get an S or get an X. Not really. The only reason why I wanted an X is to experience Sea of Thieves in 4K, and that was it. Or 4K HDR, and that was it. Other than that, I've got no, So I don't know. I just don't understand the point. I'd rather Google have come out and said, we are entering the console market. We're actually going to compete for hardware.
I don't know about that. I don't think we've got room for another console.
Don't you think?
I don't know. There used to be plenty of consoles back in the day.
And they all failed.
They all failed eventually, I guess. An interesting. Sorry to keep going on.
No, please don't.
Okay. Something that was brought up on another article was this is very hypothetical, but what if Google does do this and they end up becoming the dominant force in the gaming market?
Yeah,
as in they obliterate. They obliterate the opposition and they become the place to go for your games, and then they pull out of the market because maybe they don't like it anymore or whatever. Then there's
no competition. There's no other.
No.
Yeah, this is what people are worried about. Them having some kind of monopoly at the moment. There's a status quo, but
yeah. Do you think? How concerned do you think the big three are at this? I mean, I know the stocks dropped. Sony and Nintendo stock drop after this was announced. Fine, but they'll recover. I've got no, that's not an issue. But
honestly,
are they genuinely concerned?
I'm not sure about Nintendo. I don't know if they would be that concerned because the Switch is kind of different.
Nintendo is so busy doing their thing.
Exactly, but the problem is if people are getting higher quality games, physic wise and visual wise, the more you get on your phone than what the Switch can do, then they may be concerned, because that's the big thing about it, going from TV to Switch, which is the point they actually showed during Stadia. Look, here you go, we're playing on a phone. Look, here I go, I'm now playing on the TV. It's the same kind of thing as the Switch.
Yeah, I get that, but you'd be... again, you'd have to have a decent internet connection, which means you're going to be in your own house anyway. So, okay, I get it. If you want to go sit on the sofa or sit in bed and carry on playing, that makes sense. But for those kind of situations, it's very like if they're basing their whole model on that, then it's not going to work because the Switch could also go
almost. But I'm just saying that may be a concern to Nintendo because it would be.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, for me personally, it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference. If I'm going to play the Switch, I'm going to play on TV. I won't play it at all. For me, the Switch being a hybrid console is a waste of an opportunity of a better console. Sony and Microsoft, I think, would be less concerned because I think I'm not sure about Sony, but Microsoft are also seemingly going down the cloud route as well, and I think Sony are as well. So I think they're probably less concerned. I think there was a thing by, a message sent out by, what's his name from Microsoft?
Spencer. Spencer.
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer.
Is it? Yeah, well, him saying that basically, oh, don't worry, kind of thing. We obviously, it shows that our last 2 years of work was the right choice and stuff like that. So obviously there was some concern there, but also there's, I'm guessing, the feeling of, yeah, we're making the right decision, doing what we're doing. So it seems like it's an anticipated thing. It's just, is it too early? Like, should they have waited another generation or two?
Yeah.
I think competition's always good. It drives people and pushes people forwards is the thing. If there's a few people aiming at the same thing, it means, potentially doing the right thing and it pushes people. I think just about the cost of the, that 13 billion, whatever it is, I highly doubt that none of the technology, none of the research, all the stuff they put into it will be used for anything else because it's Google. So they'll end up using at least some of that knowledge for their other things anyway. So it's an investment. Maybe half of that is an investment just in gaming. The other stuff, it'll be used elsewhere as well, cloud stuff and all the other stuff. So they're hedging the bets a bit, I think, and then it's a good educated guess to go for that.
Another thing is as well is where you're on about the internet. The internet, while it's not amazing everywhere, more and more places are getting decent Wi-Fi. Like your buses, your trains. I know that in city centres now they're starting to implement a lot of places with free Wi-Fi. So I think it's going to get to the point in a few years. I don't know how many years, but in a few years' time, you are going to hit the point where Wi-Fi is going to be in most places. So people are going to be able to just carry on walking down the street playing their phone games.
I'll mention South Korea again. I think I did it last week. We need their 5G and their quality of. I mean, 5G can't be that much further around the corner anyway, can it? Here, I mean, they've been talking about it, and they pulled the Huawei stuff for it, didn't they?
Yeah, the Samsung Galaxy S10, that's just come out, but they've already said there's a 5G version coming out in September, I think it is, or something like that.
Yeah.
They said they're not releasing it yet because it's not out.
They obviously know it's on the horizon. Then that's going to be the time frame of 5G being available, and that's when it'll be realistic to actually have those speeds to be able to stream at that quality.
I think the speed on 4G is fine now because if I check my phone on 4G, I'm getting like 60 meg download or something like that, so it's fine. It's more the amount of data you're eating up because if you try and stream, you won't be doing 4K on your phone, but you'll be doing 1080 on your phone at like 60 frames a second. Especially if you're playing a very heavy game, which it needs to download a lot of data, your usage will just get swallowed up in a very short amount of time.
What you all need to do is go with 3, and you can get for like 30 quid. I think it's like 30 quid a month with a certain whatever phone. You get unlimited data, so you'll be sorted. Paul is saying here, Nintendo play their own game. Basically, they have their own core market that's there for unique products, whereas Sony and Microsoft rely on others' content more. Well, I'm not sure if she's saying is more, but they have a heavy commitment.
Commonality in software.
Commonality in software. Joe, I need to have better glasses, I think. Basically, they may be more concerned than the others. But like I was saying, Phil Spencer was talking about going down the same route as Google, so maybe it'd be less of a concern there. You just don't know. Joe, let me mute my mic. I'm going to give them all a phone call now, get them all on speaker together, and I'll have a chat with them all right?
Go for it.
Yes, go the extra mile.
How do you guys feel? I last week I already said I actually don't mind the idea of a discless Xbox, which is due out next month, I think, because I'm planning on buying things digitally for the next generation of Xbox anyway. But I still want to own my games. The trouble with this service is if you've got to buy the games and buy the service, you buy the games, and if they suddenly stop the service, you lost the games as well. At least if you I'm buying games digitally, but if suddenly Microsoft go, we're no more Xbox Live, I've still got all my games, or the ones that can be played without multiplayer, fine. But I've still got them all, and I still own them all, and I can still play them. If they pull the service, because maybe, I don't know, they do pull out in the market, and they have already taken a large, if you've invested heavily into this service and you've bought, few £100 worth of games, maybe £1,000 worth of games, which is easily done over a couple of years, over a few years, and they suddenly go, we don't like this market anymore, we're pulling out. I'm not saying they are, but if they do that, you've got nothing to show for the last few years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
How do you guys feel about owning games? And
honestly, I would rather own the game physically over digitally, and I would rather own it digitally over streaming. The problem is even if you buy a game digitally, you can still end up losing them. You can, which is a problem again. Another problem with buying them games being digital is like, right, I might pick up this game, it gets removed from the store, you never see it again, you're never able to buy it. Yeah.
That's a very good example of that for me was Fall of Cybertron. I did not realise it was pulled because of Activision losing the license, and I am kicking myself because I saw it on the store like whenever it was out, and I was like, I need to buy that. Never did, and now I've lost the remastered version of War for Cybertron literally forever unless somebody has a download code for it. You know what I mean? And I am kicking myself for it.
This is the thing. Unless you can find a disc version of it, but then if you buy they
never did.
If there was a disc-based version then, and you decided to buy a discless Xbox, you wouldn't be able to play it. Yeah, so it'd be pointless anyway. Streaming I don't like the idea of it, to be honest. I think PlayStation now, until fairly recently, everything was streamed. But now you can download PS2 and PS4 games, I believe, through it.
Am I right in saying Sony didn't have a huge, people didn't mind the PlayStation Now thing, but there were issues, and latency was a big issue with it, especially with fighting games and first-person shooters. I love the Game Pass model, and I don't see what the problem. I don't see why they need to go any further than that, because
I think people concerns are, again, is you're paying and you're basically renting games. I suppose.
Yeah, I get that. But at least they're downloaded to your console, so when you do play them, you're not having to rely on the streaming side of things. You've literally downloaded the game to your Xbox and you can play it. That's all I'm saying is I like the Game Pass model.
Yeah, I like the Game Pass model. I think PlayStation Now is only PS3 games are streamed. PS4 and PS2 can be streamed or downloaded.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Right, yeah, it's a fairly recent change they did, wasn't
it? Which is good, because it means you can download PS2 games, and no one likes the PlayStation 3 anyway. I'm joking. There's plenty of good games on the PlayStation 3. Please don't send me death threats.
Too late. It is funny because I do remember, and I definitely can't remember the name of the company, but I know Sony did buy up a company that was heavily invested in streaming.
I was thinking Azure, but that's Microsoft's cloud service, isn't it, Azure?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think, because I feel like Sony did that fairly. I think that was pretty early this generation.
Wasn't it?
That did that.
Wasn't it the company that was that did OnLive? Didn't they absorb that company?
I would have said
think
no.
so.
OnLive is an interesting point of comparison because that was, I feel like that was a relatively early example.
The thing you've got is, one thing I will say, if Google go into the gaming business, which they are doing, and they are massively popular, like people are predicting, say, I don't think they would drop out of the gaming market. I could see happening if it was failing to meet expectations or failing, but if it's succeeding really good and knocking out the competition, then I genuinely don't think there'll be a problem in that regard.
Can I say as well, I do not trust, because they're really emphasizing the community aspects of this, and I think that's quite cool actually. Some of the maybe it's a bit gimmicky, but like, oh, you can join this streamer when you can, you know. Based on how they have handled YouTube, I do not trust Google to curate a community.
No.
They have done awful with YouTube. Like you can be recommended. I mean, not to go too far down this road. You can be recommended like really hateful stuff so easily, like in the recommended videos, and like they've had the kind of system that just lets really hateful comments rise to the top, and they've done bugger all to curate that or tone down on like that kind of hateful rhetoric. And gaming community, as much as we thrive in it, there's a pretty nasty underside to it. I have no faith that they would curtail it on this. Like, I've really got concerns about. It's kind of like with Disney buying every media company, right? Like, I don't want all of these things under one roof. Like, it's that kind of way.
Well, I think when I was talking to you, I think I was talking to you on Steam while I was watching it, and I said to you, like, I don't want this Google Assistant bullshit with my gaming stuff. I don't want it.
Oh, the FAQ stuff. Oh, I don't mind.
I mean, like, not everything. The Google Assistant is like everything. It has fucking everything. Everything you're talking about is part of Google Assistant. I said, but the only cool thing about it is the whole, I'm struggling on this bit. Oh, let's just quickly click on something and it takes to a YouTube video showing how that's done. That's cool. But like I said to you, I would rather just normally, if I'm playing a game on my own, I would just struggle and keep on going and going and going until I did it. The other day when I was struggling with Mega Man X, I was like, how do I do this? So I just looked it up because I was streaming it. It's like, I'm not going to spend the next 6 hours trying to work out this fucking block I need to break while people are watching. It's not going to be entertaining. And it turned out I needed a helmet in a different level, so. Bastard. But no, I think there's some good aspects to it.
Oh yeah,
but
I think there's a lot.
I don't know.
I got excited when Dylan Cuthbert of Star Fox fame went up, and that was quite a cool indie selection. And to be honest, I was I wouldn't say I was swept by the presentation, but I felt
it went on too long. It felt like it went on too long.
It was a little.
It needed to be shortened. There wasn't much there. It's like people would come out and say, "Oh, there's this, there's that." Mr. Game theory guy who says everyone's dead, and that's what the game's based around, is that person being dead. Was talking crap, and we didn't need to go on about that. It's like little things. They could have either had them come out and speak for a lot less, because there wasn't anything for them to show, if you know what I mean. And like a lot of the stuff just wasn't interesting.
Do you guys think? I saw someone point this out as an interesting point. You think about the Switch's reveal. Like before, they did a conference like this, but before that, they just did that trailer full of impossibly trendy people, which I think sets a bad precedent. We can't live up to that. But you remember, like, it was completely wordless. It was well edited, had a cool, funky song, and they were just able to communicate the appeal of the Switch without any kind of. It was like they clearly learned from the Wii U on that, right? And then that trailer got viewed very quickly, helped build up hype. Yeah. Do you think Google would have been better served doing something like that for this, as opposed to starting with the conference? So I don't know if... I feel like with that kind of conference, people expected to answer more questions, whereas maybe with a trailer like Nintendo did for the Switch initially, maybe that would have been better at building up hype. Because I feel like you could have communicated a lot of this.
I don't know. I remember with the Switch reveal trailer thing. I know all I can remember is people taking the piss out of it, being like trendy hipster and house parties, and that's it. That's all I can remember from it.
I just, yeah, I mean, there was obviously, yeah, I mean, as I said, there was stuff to poke about that, but I do think that, I do remember that building up buzz, and I think people were immediately like, yeah, we understand what this is. I mean, and there were, of course, questions, because of course there were going to be, but,
yeah.
you know, with the Switch,
no, I get what you're saying.
how you dock it, you undock it, like, I feel like maybe Stadia wouldn't be as easy to communicate like that, but I feel like you could. I feel like that would have been more exciting than just, like, I mean, a conference like this, but then I suppose conversely, I did hear this was meant to also incite developers to want to work on it. So.
Well, yeah, they did say that if you send them like your email address or go on a certain site, you can get the developer tools to do the game stuff. One good thing about it is it may mean that more decent, smaller games can get picked up, hopefully. But you never know there. Another thing is like you're saying about that reveal trailer for the Switch, I think that would have been a good idea. And then like that trailer with a little short conference after it talking about certain things for like say 10, 15 minutes would have been fine. Half hour at most, but that, if it was half hour long, it felt like it was on for like 2 hours.
But how would we have made room for the game theory guy? Sorry. Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout, honestly. But I mean, again, we're trying to pick at Google's collective conglomerate brain here, aren't we? Like, it is strange to me that it is kind of a cry, like a call to battle for developers to work on it. But it's also releasing this year, so I don't know what they're. Are they expected to kind of just build up momentum over time? Fairly slow start? Are they gonna try and go out to the gates running? I mean, for what it sound like, they don't really have first-party games in development, or they're early on.
I was thinking this as well. It suddenly hit me that generally a console is unless you screw it up like what's his name did for the Xbox One at that E3 reveal. Most of the time, your console is sold on what first-party games. There's a reason why Nintendo is so successful. Okay, the Wii U is a blip, but but again, they screwed that kind of the hype up and the reveal up. But generally, the reason why Nintendo can sell pretty much anything they put their name onto is because you're getting all those first-party games on it, and that's what sells it. Same with PlayStation. Your God of Wars and Shadow of the Colossus and what are the other ones? I don't play PS4, so I'm not good at it. But people buy the PS4 for those. The Xbox, it had a dodgy release, and it hasn't been known for those first-party games, and it has suffered as a result. Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Hey.
Technical difficulties, sorry guys.
Yeah, with Google, again, is that kind of the market? They're going for this market instead of saying we're going to have exclusive games. Are they just saying we're going to be able to play games better than these guys can? No.
They said that Jade Raymond said she is the director of the AAA gaming division, so there's definitely going to be AAA exclusive games for the Stadia. The thing is, though, is like even exclusive games, any games, they didn't really talk about any games that was coming to it that I can remember at all.
Oh, they did show. What was that one they showed in split screen? And I actually did they did talk a bit about split screen.
Oh, didn't they actually show it? Yeah, that you can have. That was one of the coolest things. Is the whole you can have other people's screens put on your screen while you're playing.
Yeah,
that looks cool.
It seemed like a bit of kind of because split screen has notoriously died down a bit. Like you can still get it, especially in smaller games, but it's like split screen multiplayer has become more difficult to do as engines have become more complex. I mean, even before they had to compromise in certain ways, like you go back to like
Perfect Dark, 1 frame per second.
Well, yeah, at that point they're just like, just throw it out there if you're the frame rate will be fine. But stuff like F-Zero GX, it's like they cull geometry and they have to do that even more so in modern games. So the appeal they talked about with this was that, well, they'll just render, like, how do you phrase it? It's as if you've got like 4 machines powering each screen.
Yeah.
Right, so there wouldn't be any other compromises of that. Whether you get compromises in terms of input lag, I don't know, but it was quite cool. I was surprised they did emphasize that, because I don't know if maybe that's trying to
it was
go at the
a pretty
social
cool
aspect
little
of
thing
this
to
as
do.
well.
Yeah. Like I said, there are some interesting aspects to this, but the whole streaming your shit, the whole Google being behind it, like I'm sure they in the little statement thing, it was like do no evil, and I'm sure they've deleted that and put in be as evil as possible. But you know. No, I don't think they. Oh, why is my voice thing is playing up on Discord, so everyone's starting to get fuzzy. Right, 1 second. Right, is there anything else you guys would like to say about the Google Stadia? If not, we will move on to the Nindies.
I think that speaks volumes.
Right, okay. So, next up, guys, is we're going to talk about the Nintendo Indie Showcase that we saw the other day. And if memory serves, it was actually pretty good.
Started off very well. I think we can.
Yeah, the problem is I can't find my file. No.
This isn't started off very well. I'm not
What?
If
Okay.
it
didn't
helps, I've got the
save.
list up.
It didn't save. All my notes from the fucking thing.
Dude, come to the rescue. Come to the rescue, man.
I've already got the list up. Yeah, it's all good.
Aye, the list isn't the problem. It's all the notes are written down with the games that's the problem. Fuck. Anyway, I guess I'm gonna hand it over to Doomed for the game list because I haven't got a clue what they are. You'll have to crack on there.
Okay, cool. Right, so I'm gonna put it out there and say, and I'm probably gonna get shot for this, but I wasn't particularly blown away with any of these announcements. Nothing really stood out for me. I just gotta put that one out there. I was a little disappointed, but that's just a personal thing. I'm not saying any of these are bad, but so the first announcement that we had was Cuphead coming to the Switch.
Yeah.
That was such a funny video to start with, because I think it was like a minute of tiny, like black and white footage of a guy like pouring milk into a bowl. It went on enough for it to get a little.
Right, 1 second, guys. Again, the fucking Discord has been a dick. Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on today with Discord. It's being funny and it's going all robot and like it's being shit. The reason why he does that is I put a clip of Jazzem being sick from I don't know what's going on. It's tonight everything's playing up, guys.
Yeah, Graham's saying that's the
Yeah, stream's dead as well.
No, stream's back. Refresher.
Oh, sorry, is it?
Yeah, things have been playing. I don't know. Yeah, but basically, when we played Sea of Thieves back in the day, I made Jazzem sick by throwing a bucket of sick on him, and that sound effect was from a clip of it, and I was just testing the bot out, and I completely forgot about it until Graham was doing that. So my apologies. I need to get rid of it. But basically, with Cuphead. I'm not a massive fan of the game. I think it's overly difficult for the sake of being overly difficult. Just like most games, like Dark Souls and then people wank over them because it's like, oh, it's so hard. Oh, I'm such a big fucking expert. Ooh, my big dick. It's like, get a grip. And then you have... and then you have... yeah, I think the one thing I will say about Cuphead is it is glorious looking. The visuals in there are
The
amazing.
aesthetic is to die for.
Yeah.
It's astounding how well they captured that 1930s. There is a term for it, that animation style. Unfortunately, quite a bit of it is associated with caricatures, but of course none of that is Cuphead. It's not overtly. And yeah, just it's a bit like the whole game was hand drawn, start to finish. Like they went the whole mile for this. It's one of the most beautiful games to see in motion.
Yeah.
And I honestly, gameplay wise, it's definitely tough. I do think the easy modes could probably be a bit like you can't beat the game properly with the easy modes. I think it does cut out like boss patterns, which is a bit of a shame. But I do think they could probably offer up a video. It is a maddening game, but it's also one of those ones for me where every victory is humongous, no matter how small. And I mean, sorry to actually describe it for those who don't know, it is basically think Gunstar Heroes, think Contra, think any kind of running gun sort of old school platformer.
Not as fun as
But
either of those for me.
It's mostly a boss rush, though. There are platforming levels. They infamously added those after people criticised that, which is like a year or two to development lesson. But yeah, it's a standard, like, gorgeous character designs that are really well animated for the bosses. They are they are incredibly tough, which might be the game's appeal in some way. But this is such a delight, and it's the kind of game I get annoyed at, but then I am pressing retry straight away anyway. So I it looks its charm on me, and it is a great fit for the Switch. I wouldn't surprise me if it does gangbusters there. We should say as well, it published by Microsoft to start, which is certainly laid the door down for some pretty interesting stuff, doesn't it?
Microsoft have been buddying up, to say the least, to Nintendo, haven't they? And this is another big step in that kind of direction. I think, you know, letting an Xbox exclusive, Microsoft exclusive, probably better called, go to a rival platform. You know, I mean.
And it makes sense because it's probably like it's sold incredibly well on Steam and Xbox. It's probably not. It's probably still selling well, but it's not selling Xboxes at this point. So it's like, yeah, it's done the bulk of its work there. Why not port it over? Yeah, it's really gonna find an audience on Switch, I think, especially.
I heard somewhere that they offered it to Sony, and Sony said no. I heard somewhere about that. I don't know how true that is. Yeah, but I think again it comes down to the fact that because it's coming to the Switch with Xbox Live achievements. So that's what I mean. It's really integrated still, and I think that's what Sony doesn't want. You know, so Microsoft have gone. We're giving you they're kind of offering some kind of olive branch up to them, but it comes with certain requirements, I guess, and that's the use. It still will integrate.
Guys, I don't know if you can hear me, but you've completely cut out and gone silent again. I've now disconnected from Discord.
He's 17.
And now I'm back again! Yay! Fuck me, what is going on with Discord tonight, guys?
Yeah, there's a real issue with Discord.
Have we not been on stream this whole time? Is it still recording?
Yeah, we're still streaming. It's just this little bit of...
Okay, good.
It's just little bits of cutting out because for some reason Discord's been a right ball ache tonight. I don't know why. I don't have this problem normally.
But yeah, Tim, I do wonder if it is that, it is a shame because it's a compromise. So just have Cuphead with trophies and get to play an amazing game. That's the sort of game I bought on everything. But 3 out of 4 ain't bad, I guess. PC, Switch, and Xbox. And yeah, it's there were rumors of this for a while with Cuphead. Like here's it for Ori and the Blind Forest as well. That's Microsoft published sort of smaller, but very good as well, like side-scrolling Metroidvania kind of platformer. And again, it's like that's not because it was a big success, but again, a great fit for the Switch audience. It's on there. And again, unfortunately, probably not going to be it for many people. What you suggested, or just the two companies that aren't going to survive and stuff like that. It's a shame, but at least we are getting them on Switch.
Right, guys, can you just give me 2 seconds before you continue talking about the conversation?
No problem.
I am going to do something. Where is it? Right, Discord is playing up a minute, guys. I'm just going to close Discord and reopen it and see if that sorts it out. This is getting right on my tits because we don't normally have these problems. It's normally pretty good. Hopefully I'll join back and it'll be fine, but I don't think it's going to be tonight for some reason. It's playing up. Which is very odd, actually. You know, I actually thought that something may have been downloading, causing my Discord be playing up and other stuff, but I haven't dropped any frames or anything either.
Unique looking game.
Hey, look,
Didn't
we're
really
back in Discord. Yay, finally, fucking hell.
Didn't really hear enough that didn't glitch to know what Cuphead's about now. So
I
It's
have
a
no
run-
idea what the audience has or hasn't heard of this.
No.
Yeah, that's the problem. Sorry, guys, we've had trouble tonight. I don't know what's going on. But basically, Jazzem really likes Cuphead. It's coming to the Switch with Xbox Live achievements. It's not coming to PlayStation because of obvious reasons. I also believe it is on Steam, which obviously doesn't have Xbox Live achievements, and it came out on Steam on the same day as it came out on the Xbox One. So who knows what went on there. I only know because I got it on Steam. I didn't get it on the Xbox. What was the next game, man?
Oh, yes. Sorry, again, distracted by all these.
So the thing, they are playing games on they playing Sea of Thieves, so if they get distracted, don't blame me.
I'm not playing. I just point out I'm not playing.
Oh, okay. Damn.
So the next game that was revealed was a game called Overland. So it says here, take care of a group of travelers on a post-apocalyptic road trip across the United States in this turn-based survival game. Fight off scary creatures, rescue stranded survivors, and scavenge for supplies like fuel, first aid kits, and weapons. Decide where to go next, upgrade this wrecked car, or rescue the dog. And don't forget, there's always consequences for every action. Overland is about the close calls, dramatic escapes, hard choices, arguing about whether or not that dog gets rescued, and the end of the world.
Rescue the dog. I don't fucking care. Rescue that dog.
But the problem you got is what if Cheeky Devlin's right? Like he keeps in the Division 1, he shot every dog he saw because he was worried that the dogs may be spreading the disease. In the Division 2, he shoots any animal he sees.
Well, Pedz,
Because
then
they've
I'd
added
turn the
more.
game off.
So what
Then
if
I'd
the
turn game
dog?
off and I'd go and cry because fuck that.
So what if the
You
dog?
can't let me do that.
What if the dog is the problem? What if the dog caused the end of the world?
I can't. The game does look very cool.
It looks alright. It looks okay. I consider it maybe. Then again, it's hard to remember things. This is why I wrote notes that didn't get fucking saved down.
I think it is this. You read the description, and it's not terribly atypical, right? Like we have seen games like this. I think maybe the way it's presented, like the art style is quite cool. It's got kind of a, I don't know what to compare it to. Like it's somewhat low polygon. Sort of, like it's not detailed in one way, very expressive in another. If that makes sense. Yeah, it looks neat. Nice little game. Nice one to add to the Switch library.
Yeah, and I think the thing with this game is they are bringing consequences in, and I know you only have a limited number of turns to do things in, so your choices like rescue the dog, help a survivor, or fix your car. And during this, like, so if you choose one thing, you'll never be able to do everything, and so therefore you have to make, and I mean, how deep those consequences go, is it just a case of if you don't rescue the dog dog dies and that's that, or does it go a little deeper than that? Do you know what I mean? Or
yeah.
so it'd be an interesting one.
The question is I will first of all thank you so much for that subscription to the GRcade channel, Paul Sachs. It is massively appreciated. What I was going to say is are they actual genuine consequences going to be in this game, or is it going to be another like Telltale style game where your actions have little effect on the story at all?
Well, my thought would be that because it's an indie game, because it's probably not going to be like voice acted top to bottom, or it's probably not going to be complicated animation. So like something like a Telltale game that does, which granted they're on high budgets, so that's probably why they're a bit limited on how many outcomes they can have. I think it's probably easier with a game of this scope, if that makes sense, because it's quite a high concept thing, but I assume it's done with modest production values. So it's probably easier for them. So I'd be fairly optimistic on that front. I think we have kind of come to be skeptical of like, oh, your choices really matter, right? Because I think that brings with it a certain expectation. That's not always.
I can't think of many games where your choices really matters. Like even like games like Mass Effect and loads of things like that. Like from memory, I could be wrong. It's like what matters with your choices is how your powers turn out. Where you get super cool electric powers or not. Apart from in the first one where I think it's Rex. Grunt is the second game. If you haven't got either your conversational or your like intimidation skills high enough, Rex will get shot. And he'll be dead for the next two games. Whereas if he doesn't get shot, you'll actually see him in the next two games. So that is a bit of a change there.
Well, it's immensely complex from a design perspective if you think about it. Like all these branching kind of paths that...
Oh no, I can't
They still have
see
to
it.
presumably intersect, depending on how long the game is. But...
Yeah, I'm not trying to say, it's an easy thing, they should like do it. It's just, when they say it, it's just the concern is this going to be another? There's not much in there, or there's a lot in there, and it's like it'd be nice to know exactly what these branching paths do. But as you said, there's gonna be so much more work if you do a game which is like say fucking 30 hours long, and every single person you talk to may branch the game in a different direction. It's gonna be a ridiculous amount of work just going in that one thing, Like, if one little side quest could lead on to so many, like, say, 10 different outcomes, it would be a massive undertaking to go that far. So I think with a smaller scale indie game like this, I think it would have the potential to do that kind of branching paths without it being too much to do in that regard. But who knows?
Should we move on to the next game?
Yeah.
Yes. This game actually, as I said, the whole direct, I wasn't like, not one thing went, oh yeah, I'm really gonna buy that. This is the one that was closest to doing it, and this one I might actually buy close to its release, and that's my friend Pedro, or Pedro. I don't know how you want to say it, but
I say Pedro. The only time I've heard Pedro is in America, because America say things weird like Mario instead of Mario. So,
so for Dan's benefit, because Dan doesn't own a Switch, and I assume you're not overly switched on with the stuff Nintendo are doing at the moment. I might be wrong.
Not really, no. I mean, I just the titles that I would want to play have always been the same, which would be the Mario Karts and the
Okay, so for your benefit, I'll quickly tell you what this game is about. It is I'll read the little bit of bump here. My friend Pedro is a violent ballet about friendship, imagination, and one-man struggle to obliterate anyone in his path at the behest of a sentient banana.
Yes.
I do like ballet.
The strategic use of split aiming, slow motion, and the old stylish window breach create window breach create one sensational action sequence after another in an explosive battle through the violent underworld. Basically, you're a guy who's friends with a banana who's like alive, and you go around fucking shit up, basically.
I'll say
Yeah.
it's worth watch video footage of this game. 'Cause
Yeah, it
the
does look
It
very
looks
good.
really good. The one
premise
problem
of
I've got is the amount of time that Doom and Co have put into Sea of Thieves. They will constantly try and eat Pedro.
Yes.
They need to get the health
Oh.
back.
Whole skin and all.
That has
Oh, yeah.
body horror implications. I really don't want to know that. So. Mhm.
No, it looks
But,
really good, and I do recommend you watch it.
So it's kind of a 2.5 do you think, right? Like it's a side-on action game. It's very. The thing I was thinking, it's like a cross section of Dollhouse. Whenever you're in buildings, if that makes sense. Like you can see like the rooms are like little dioramas you're peering into, and your character, they're quite. There's a lot of Matrix style slow mo going on. There's a lot of creative use of firing bullets at a frying pan that reflects off into enemies. There's a lot of. It's the kind of it reminds me of like some of the greatest action scenes in films where just every single action or move just feels so beautifully choreographed, which that's pretty exciting for an action game. And the things I'm watching now is like a motorcycle chase where he's like going over the bonnets of cars, he's like backflipping to evade shots. It's a really dynamic, cool looking game, man. I think it's coming out on. I want to say it's multi-format as well. I don't think it's a Switch only game. Like I think it is.
I thought it was a Switch console exclusive, or Switch first.
Oh,
It may have been another game that was mentioned there, though. Graham
looking
is
up the
saying
Steam
Jazzem
page
was an
for it.
uncredited creator. I have no idea what he's on about.
I'll take it. I'll take credit for.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Steam page now as well. So presumably it's Steam, and I do wonder if something like that. So it's being a Switch console exclusive at first. Do you think that's the developers prioritizing that? It's like. I'd be surprised if
I would
Nintendo-
think so in a way, actually, because a lot of indie developers who have said they've released their games across all formats, a lot of them have said the Switch have sold the best.
Yeah.
Right,
So
quite,
maybe that is the case. But
It's
who
a lot
knows?
of this game outsold on Switch everything else like 10 to what, like, well, they're not all that, but like there's a lot of ones where they show the pie chart, and it's like it's
Dominant.
Basically, a Pac-Man piece, except for it's red for Nintendo, and then in between is like, where the black is for the mouth to be open. That's the other company colors.
Yeah.
Nintendo's
which I
eating
think
them.
I think that's why it did feel like even with the Retro of the Wii U, it did seem like there was a bit of an audience for indie games there. Obviously not too much, but I think they really, and there were a few examples on 3DS. I do feel like they kind of snowballed into that with the Switch.
Yeah.
And that's now why we're getting pretty regular Indie Direct and why.
Well,
Sorry,
good-
go on,
I was going to say a good example of that. I was just reading an article. Dead Cells has sold almost 1 million copies to date on the Switch, which for a little indie developer, nearly they're approaching 1 million downloads on Dead Cells.
Was that 1 million across all formats?
No, it was just on the Switch.
Really? Okay. I did read it was mostly on Switch. Yeah.
I thought it was across all format. I haven't bought it on Switch. I got it on Steam. I got it when it was in early access.
They definitely emphasised that it sold
Yeah.
most on Switch by quite, and it was a pretty. Unfortunately, not to delve into this, you might recall the IGN plagiarism.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I think the game got attention through that, which is a bit of it's a weird way. But
IGN, I have no idea.
Well, that unpleasantness aside, though, it was a big hit, and it does seem like a really cool little action. And again, just the kind of game that Switch audience seems to
I have to
like.
Google this now, and
Oh,
I might even Bing it.
Yeah, you big.
While you do that, we've obviously got quite a lot of
Move on.
games to go through. Should we go on?
Yeah. Okay, so next one that was announced was NeoCab. NeoCab is an emotional survival.
Yeah, I
Stay
remember this
human.
announced at E3. It's like a sci-fi looking cyberpunk-ish taxi game where you talk to people and try and find your missing friend, basically.
Yeah. It says so NeoCab is an emotional game about staying human in a world disrupted by automation. You play as Lena, the last human driver the neon-drenched streets of Los Ojos. Is it Los Ojos? Ojos? Could be anyway.
If it's
when
Spanish,
your friend-
Jay's probably something like
Yeah.
Jose, so probably Los Ojos.
When your friend and only lifeline, lifeline mysteriously vanishes, you're on your own in an So yeah.
So it's a very narrative-driven thing, right? Which
Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but I love that kind of game on a handheld. Well, I know you probably know Pedz, but like I remember like playing like the Phoenix Wright games, like just tucked into bed before sleep, and probably not good in the sense to have a big glaring screen at you like that
No,
before you
definitely
sleep.
not.
But
What you can do? Read a book. On
that's
on
right.
paper.
But well, that's the thing, because it reminds me of like that kind of feeling of delving into a book, and it's just that kind of immersion. And I think especially with like at nighttime kind of sea lit sky you've got here, this seems like a good fit for. I mean, I think you could probably take a shot every time we say good fit for the Switch this episode, but this seems like a good fit for that. So, yeah.
I remember seeing it, Neocab, and it was at the E3 it was shown direct, I think, or last year it was in a direct, and there was another game that was shown, which was a similar kind of game. It was called Night Call.
Yes.
And it was basically like a noir-looking game, and it was a similar kind of game, but I think it was like, if I remember correctly, it was on the hunt of maybe killers or something as well. But it was worked on by Taff from the forum, and it's a very, very similar-looking game. I think he basically said it's Hotel Dusk in a taxi. So
yeah, is that game he worked on? Is that out?
no,
is
not
that
yet.
released?
No.
Right, it's I think this is probably just like two characters being called Dennis the Menace being made at the same time, just like two.
Yeah,
guys.
it's just
Like,
coincidentally.
maybe not that eerie, but like it, this is as unique a premise as it is. It's not unfounded.
No. The cool thing is they look very different. So maybe they, while not by playing differently, maybe have different unique twists and turns and things, because they look like they go in for a different aesthetic and what have you. So like the futuristic looking one may actually do a different things that the other game wouldn't be suited doing because of the visuals and the time and this, But I prefer the look of that one, but that wasn't mentioned in this in Indie. So
the surface level, like they look similar on the surface, but you digging deeper, and I'm sure both very worthwhile.
yeah, I'll give both a look in, definitely.
Let's go on, shall we?
Yep.
Next one is the Red Lantern. Red Lantern is a resource management narrative game where you and your team of 5 sled dogs lost in the wilderness must navigate the ever-changing events of the Alaskan bush to find your way home.
I remember seeing this, and the very first thing I thought is that Chloe's voice from Life is Strange? Because that's all I thought. It sounded like Chloe from Life is Strange.
Ashley Birch, really?
It sounded like her. I don't know if it was, but it sounded like her.
It might have been. She does a lot of voice work these days, so it'd be quite cool.
But it looked good. But for me, a resource management kind of game and things is not something I would particularly like to do. It's a roguelike from the looks of it as well, where you restart stuff and die. It's definitely not my kind of game. Like I said, the only reason I'd get it is just to purposely get my dog killed by bears and send video clips of it as Anthem.
And to Jazzem.
And to Jazzem, yeah.
Is it possible to boycott
a bastard?
You take part in it? Can that be done?
No.
I need to take action. To be honest, if you said the genre alone, I wouldn't be that drawn to it. I think it's the premise, obviously the doggos, and potential sadness that might come along. It's, I think it looks just very neat. I think just the premise and setting is so much to kind of like draw me to it. Possibly, I think. Again, if you describe it as the genre, it might be one of those kind of, like you get that one example in the genre you're not otherwise into. Yeah, that actually does work for you. I could see it being that for a few people. They kind of, and heck, maybe it could be like a gateway game for people into that kind of game.
Yeah, the premise and the aesthetic of that game was nice, but the genre is kind of upping me off. It's like I'm not really a roguelike fan, and the only recent roguelike I can think of off the top of my head enjoying was Rogue Legacy. And I only played that for like an hour or two, and then I'd had enough. So.
This one does have dogs, so we'll see.
Yes.
What we got next, dude?
Next one is Darkwood. Darkwood provides a new perspective on survival horror. Scavenge and explore the rich, ever-changing, free roam world by day, then hunker down in your hideout and pray for the morning light.
I remember seeing this. I thought it might be something interesting. It kind of looked like you have to walk around to get resources and stuff during the day, and then like be careful during the night and stuff. Yeah, it might be interesting. It was top down, and you know, I thought it was like a horror Stardew Valley or something without the farming.
Oh god! Oh wow, that is a very inverse Stardew Valley, isn't it? Totally. Well.
Yeah.
They need to make that as a mod now, like the zombie mod for.
I bet
for
there
Stardew
is.
Valley.
I was going to say
someone's doing it.
There's a Pokemon mod. You can actually ride around on a Rapid Dash or a
What?
Ponyta. Yeah.
Well, I say,
Oh my
why
God.
do we get both? We need like Haunters, we need the Tower from Lavender Town.
Yeah, with the music. Gotta have the music of Lavender Town in there.
Oh god.
They should,
So good.
as this different style music, they should make it even like sad and creepier than what it was back in the day. Because every time after Red and Blue, it's kind of lost that eeriness that it had.
I don't think it's possible to be more what that song is. It's just in its original form.
Just
It's
have every so often a little bit of crying in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks cool.
And then when you walk around occasionally, you'll see a person crying to the body of their pet Pokemon on the floor. Because they don't bury them in the tower, they just leave them there because it's weird. I don't know.
E for everyone.
Well, the podcast, no.
Yeah,
Next game.
Cool little top-down horror game.
Next game. I gotta admit, this is actually another one that I kind of put up there with my friend Pedro. Katana Zero. Katana Zero is a stylish neo-noir action platformer featuring breakneck action and instant death combat, slash dash and manipulate time to unravel your past in a beautifully brutal acrobatic display.
Yeah, I like the look of it. It looks like
like
a lot of other games I've seen in the genre, to be honest, but it looked good. And that's
It's really kinetic.
Yeah.
I'm watching the trailer. This has also got motorbike chase sequences.
Yeah.
There's definitely a Pedro crossover. This is the game they also mentioned therapy sessions, right? Like,
yeah,
Yes.
I'd say
Yeah,
that you have therapy sessions. For once, they're actually saying, for like, this person's killing people and actually feels something and is getting help. Instead of Nathan Drake kills a load of people and makes a fucking pun.
It's quite. I'm really fascinated to see where they go with that. Like, that seems darkly comedic in itself.
Yeah, I reckon at the end, the person who is giving you therapy sessions turns out to be the villain, and you kill them in that room.
And the game's not even out yet.
It looks cool.
Funny if that turned out to be the case now. That's
I was gonna say.
for all three of our listeners.
Well, we got the proof right here. This was recorded at this date, so you can claim that one.
Yeah.
What we got next, then?
Next one is Rad. So Rad is a 3D action roguelike set in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity has faced Armageddon not once but twice. Playing as a teenage protagonist, you must venture into the fallow and ever-changing radioactive wasteland filled with unknown and unspeakable creatures. It is here that you will find the solution to heal the world and transform the cracked, barren landscape into a lush source of new life.
It looked alright from what I remember seeing of it. The problem is, it's a roguelike game. It's also done by Double Fine Productions. From the sounds of it, the guy who worked on it done like stacking and stuff. But like the guy directing it then. But for me, the fact it's a roguelike, if it was just a proper game, that sounds bad. If it was a proper story-driven narrative with, you know, you die and you just respawn a bit further away instead of dying, losing everything and starting again. It's a new, you know. That's what roguelike to me is, and it makes me lose interest. I hear the term roguelike, I lose interest. The worst one is though, if I use survival, I will just never bother with it at all ever, even if it's free.
I'll say this game's look is very striking. It's a little Borderlandsy, I'd say, like the post-apocalyptic setting mixed with kind of bright colours, like in particular kind of the vegetation you spawn. I think as you attack enemies, it's a bit hard to be sure of that, but it's got a very, it does feel like it has that Double Fine kind of personality where it's a little bit of a sinister tone, but it is also very comedic and a bit jovial as well. And
no one wants this. They just want to play Psychonauts 2, don't they? Come on, let's be honest. I am playing Psychonauts, really.
We got both.
Yeah, I'm just messing around.
Tim Schafer still in work, so it's not a completely undressed world. That's how I see this.
No, that's one thing that's pretty cool about Double Fine is they have gone a kind of like an indie route with a lot of this stuff, but also still having their higher production games as well.
They've had in there, haven't they? Like Psychonauts was notoriously a big flop, and I think it probably is eventually like on Steam and such. Like it did get its cult following, but it was a rough path to get there, wasn't it? So the man created Grim Fandango, so I want him to forever be successful.
I wasn't a big fan of Grim Fandango. I think the problem with games like Grim Fandango and Monkey Island is while they are good games, like I loved Monkey Island and Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge, whatever it's called. But the problem is some of the logic of the games you need to throw out the window and just basically the best thing to do is just follow a guide for the puzzles, just so you can enjoy the like story and the wit that is in there and the actual script, because they are the best parts of those games, if you ask me, by far.
It's certainly the sense of humour and personality that, which again you kind of see in Rant a little bit, and generally Double Fine's games. That's certainly the thing that draws people to them. So Doom, what we got next?
Next one is Creature in the Well. It's a top-down pinball-inspired hack-and-slash dungeon crawler. That's a
oh, that looked pretty good. Yeah, I looked at it and I thought, so like someone have looked at Yoku's Island Express and thought, yeah, let's mash another game with a pinball game.
This is a trend I fully support. I don't know how the hell it transpired, but yeah.
Well, people are obviously going back, playing the Mega Drive and thought, oh my god, Sonic Spinball was such an amazing game. How did no one else think to combine pinball with a completely different genre, apart from like Kirby's Pinball and Metroid Pinball and whatever else? And then they decided to do their own pinball game. Yeah, that's probably what it was.
The difference though is I feel like, Sonic Spinball is kind of pinball meets platformer, right? I feel like those examples in general are probably primarily pinball games. I feel like Creature in the Well and Yoku's Island Express, I feel like they're more kind of like Yoku's Island Express was like a Metroidvania sort of game, but with pinball platforming.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think
this is like a top-down action game that has pinball elements. It's an interesting version where usually pinball would be the dominant.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think though that when you look at Sonic, it did have some platform element, not many, but it had some. Right. So it was like the first crossover I can think of where that happened, like with the Kirby one from memory and stuff like that. It was just a pinball game and Kirby was a ball.
It was, but it had like Kirby-isms in it, like Inhaling Enemy. It had something.
So I think that like that was probably more more of a crossover than the others.
Sure. I also, watching the footage again, this might have been one of my favourite games they showed. I really, like, the art style's really striking. You got, like, lots of really lovely contrasting colours. Kind of a cel-shaded look, and yeah, as I say, this bizarre pinball trend, may it forever continue. Can we get it in just visual novels, first-person shooters? I don't care how not conducive it is, let's put it everywhere.
I don't know, you do a visual novel pinball game, that'd be weird.
It'll work.
Oh, what you could do is you're a guy, and your visual novel thing is to go to, like, different bars to play different pinball games, or like actual pinball machines, and that would be the story, the visual novel part, and you'll get to see him like going down different things, and then he gets stuck in a web of lies. And
it's the visual novel based on the Who song, Pinball Wizards.
I don't know why. I don't know why, but by Pedz saying that, I've suddenly imagined Dante's Inferno, but pinball style.
Yeah,
Descending through the 8 circles of hell, or however many.
That's a hot IP still.
Yeah.
I'm
Play,
sure.
and the pin and the round of pinball is as you descend further into madness, and so they become weirder and wilder, and yeah. So I've got that in my head now. It's like the pinball version of Dante's Inferno.
Make that happen too. That's good.
Right. So this one's for Dan. This one's called Blood Roots. In Blood Roots, the world is your weapon. Improvise and adapt to an ever-changing ballet of ultraviolence in Bloody Revenge quest across the Weird West. So yeah, more ballet, Dan.
Ballet and death and stuff.
And
what was it called again?
Blood Roots. I don't remember seeing this.
I'm watching the trailer now. The thing that really struck me was how, again, a lot of these action games are really... Your avenues of attack are really surprising. And this one, there's a lot of... You really use the environment to your advantage.
Oh, I remember seeing this. I called it Lion Face Man until they said the name. Something like Wolf Face Man. Wolf Face, I think it was.
It's pretty bloody as well.
Yeah, it looks pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, I mean, just seeing this.
Oh, that's it, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, he's swinging the ladder around. He's, like, getting on the wagon and using that to... it's pretty wild. It's a kind of action game that I think would...
Go down well for a bit of fun, like, yeah, definitely.
It's what I call a bad day at work kind of game. It's just like a good way to unwind, you know?
Yeah, I like the look of that. I think that'll be fun. I really haven't got much to say on it other than it looks fun. Visually, it looks quite nice. Kind of looks like it would remind me of something like let's look at Wolf Face again. Yeah, see the visual style of the character reminds me something of like Samurai Jack. So it's kind of got that old school-ish cartoon, not old school, but like 20 years ago. Cartoon Network cartoons.
I reckon you could make that a Samurai Jack game as well. You could do it with that.
Oh, fucking please.
Have they ever done a Samurai Jack game?
Maybe.
Was he ever in like a Cartoon Network cartoon or whatever?
I don't know. There might be. There was a recent one. I think it was a fairly recent one. That was Nickelodeon, actually. Never mind. No one cares about Nickelodeon. It's all Cartoon Network, man. That's where they got Steven Universe and stuff, so...
Well, Adult Swim publish games, so get them to like license that to that developer. Should we move on?
Yeah, Samurai Jack, but like, yeah, I know you'd Skyward Swordy or Breath of the Wildy, Samurai Jack. Yeah.
So next is.
Sorry.
Next is Pine. So Pine is an open-world action-adventure simulation game. Take on the role of Hugh, a brave young adult who belongs to the last remaining tribe of humans on the island of Albemer. Find your way through an ever-changing world in which all creatures have lives, goals, and quests of their own. Albemer's factions trade and fight with each other over food and territory, while Hugh learns about ways to influence the ecology in search for a new home for the humans.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. It looks alright. I don't know. I thought it looked a bit ropey when I saw like gameplay footage of the guy running around, but
there's moose people in it though. That looks.
Do you think it might have traded scale for? I don't know. I think I'm watching this alright. I was gonna say, do you think it might have traded like scale for polish, maybe, or like it's a bit of a tough balance to do that.
Yeah. I don't know, it just seemed a little off to me. I don't know what it was about it that seemed off, but there was something about it that was. I remember Xanthem saying when he saw the direct that he felt really bad about that game, because you're basically around killing animal people. Anthropomorphic animals. I can't say that word anymore. Anthropomorphic, yeah.
Well,
it's a bit Planet of the Apes, isn't it? Like the humans aren't dominant, and you've got to kind of work around that, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like Beyond Good and Evil. There's all animals there.
Yeah. Do we get a pig sidekick then, who's comical and a bit of a goof?
Why does one thing I always want to know with Beyond Good and Evil is why does the guy whose name I can't remember, the hologram called JD8? Confused me.
Good question.
Because even in the subtitles, it says it's got a Y there instead of a J. Very strange.
Can someone answer that? Postcard. We'll accept postcards, right?
Yeah, send it to GRcade. Polio box. GRcade. Something.
Just scroll GRcade on the back in crayon and it'll find its way. we don't even postcode.
Has to be in crayon though. It won't work otherwise.
Pick any colour you like.
But bonus points for one unique colour per letter. That would be
yes. That's like our equivalent of first class. Gets there quicker.
Standard.
So next one is the Super Crate box, I believe it's called. Yep. Super Crate box is coming to bring back the glory of the golden GRcade, where all that really matters was getting on that high score list. Grab your baseball bat and loosen your pants. It's time to fight endless hordes of enemies and collect every weapon crate you can. Prepare for an arcade delight with tight controls, refreshing game mechanics, cracking retro art, and terribly hip chiptune soundtrack.
Yes.
On that note, sorry guys, my laptop's about to die. I'm going to go grab my charger while you chat about this.
Right, Super Crate Box is a game that looks like it may be okay. It looks like a bit of fun, basically. I've seen it before. I thought I may have had it on like Steam or something, but that's not the case. It just looks like damn fun, just shooting shit in a little arena. You know
what it is? It's like the Bubble kind of arcade game, like it's single screen, you deal with enemies.
It's not as fun as Bubble Bobble. This doesn't look anywhere near as fun as Bubble Bobble. Guys, ignore Jazzem. I'm joking.
Well, I did fervently say it was meant to be fun than Bubble Bobble. I did clearly say that.
Yeah.
It's a cool game, and it's they kind of announced this as a trio because it was like this, sort of this rise in indie developer.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
The big hit was Nuclear Throne, which is
yes, Nuclear Throne. I have played. I may have it on PC. It's like a top-down, roguelike, run-around shooting shit kind of game. Which where I played of it was alright. I may have it on PS4. Anyway, I've played it a bit and it seemed alright. But again, I think that is a co-op game. I think I'd probably enjoy more with a couple of other people. Because it might be a bit of a laugh, I would think.
Yeah, it's got cool. I always feel like the monster designs were quite cool. Like you don't play as human characters at all, do you? Play as
no, you mutants in them. Yeah.
What was that Nickelodeon show, like Real Monsters? It's not.
Yeah,
quite
Real
that.
Monsters.
You play as kind of weird designs like that. Yeah. And it's got like cool pixel art visuals. I think it was quite a hit on Steam. I want to say. I think it probably struck right when roguelikes were like probably near the peak of their modern popularity. So it's a good one to have, and it's quite apparently it was like early access right in 2013. So.
Well, yeah, I seem to have it on Steam. I've got like one achievement on it, and I haven't played much of it. I played it. I actually played it for 7 minutes.
Hey.
I'm so good. 7 minutes. Yeah, but also they announced, as you said, it was like a triple thing. But the last thing they announced as a part of this was I can't remember the company's name, but it was something arcade, which seems to be like they're adding games to it. Maybe it's like this is the first arcade game, and then more going to be put into it. I don't know.
Vlambeer Arcade, is that the one?
Yeah. I know we kind of skipped ahead, but these games were announced as like a threesome.
Yeah, because Nuclear Throne is the other one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, we just talked about that.
Yeah, I said I played a bit of it and it was alright, but then when I was looking at it, I only played it for 7 minutes. So that's enough, isn't it?
True, yeah. That's been quite prolific indie dev, so cool to have them on there.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure that Vlambeer Arcade, I'm sure they said that they would be adding more to the arcade. I didn't realise that I'm not sure if it was more being added to it, or they just go to have Vlambeer Arcade, this game, Vlambeer Arcade, this game, and they'll all be released separately. I wasn't sure how that worked, because I may have misheard. And also I was writing notes down at the same time, so.
Did you find those notes in the end, by the way?
No, I had them under podcast and in a file. The file is there, but for some reason they didn't save. So, I have no idea where that has gone.
What have we got next?
Next is Swim Sanity.
Oh,
Swim
fuck, I found it!
Swim Sanity : oh fuck, I found it.
Yeah. Is a multiplayer underwater shooter with action-packed co-op and versus game modes, all supported by online and local play. You play as the hero Mooba, who uses a variety of unique power-ups and weapons to survive the aquatic world.
I have to admit, I'm not big on the art style in this one. I don't know how to. I think
No.
like, it's clearly had a lot of work put into this. Actually, the bosses look quite cool, to be fair. But the characters, they look. There's a word for this. They look a bit mannequin in how they're animated. Like their arms are kind of rotated, and it just looks a bit cheap to me. Maybe that's unfair.
Yeah, but
It's
then,
a cool idea.
you know. I remember seeing this and I just thought it looked alright. I think playing in co-op would be the most fun again. But then when I think back to the last underwater game I played, which was like an Xbox arcade title that was free, it was awful. So.
Oh, is that hydrophobia?
No. That was on the. That was a.
Oh,
I'm thinking it was like a scuba guy and you're swimming through levels or something. It's fucking crap.
Oh wow. But yeah, I could see it being good multiplayer. Like it's a good little study. It's got online. Yeah, they emphasised the online on it. I think they said it had in-game voice chat as well, which I found quite interesting. They made that distinction given the platform. Let's go on, shall we?
Cool. Yep. So the next one is we're down to our last games. To let everyone. So this one is Blaster Master 02.
Yay! My exact words were, I can't wait. I love Blaster Master Zero. This looks ace. Woot. Looks like a big upgrade in scale. More planets, more upgrades and everything. Woot. More pilots too. Woot. Available today. Woot. And I kept checking the store every 5 minutes until it was available, and I downloaded it straight away. And I played it a bit, and I'm really, I've done that much, but it's basically more Blaster Master Zero. I'm happy with her.
That doesn't annoy me with these directs. They'll say like a game is like available right now, and it's
An hour or two
checking, it's
later,
like,
yeah.
Or like they'll say it's available later today, and it's like, I need a time frame.
Available after the direct. It's like, well, how long after the direct? 16 years. It's after the direct.
But I think you're like me, Pedz, in that Blaster Master Zero was one of my favourite early Switch games. It's they're like Blaster Master is actually a NES cult hit, basically. And it's a game where you have side-scrolling sections where you're in the tank, and it kind of moves like a tank. You know, it's you gotta pivot the turrets on top and account for like the traction of a tank, and then you have these top-down kind of Zelda-style sections, don't you?
Yeah, the more run and gun. No more run and gun. Think Smash TV.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Yeah,
but obviously not fucking enemies flying at you for 20 minutes solid.
Well, actually, the NES one is on the NES app as well, and it's a pretty tough game. It has limited continue, so maybe do the save state. It's worth checking out. But Blaster Master Zero was a really lovely update to that. It was kind of a remake. It was kind of a new game.
Yeah. I remember we talked about it. It's like it was a remake, but added story elements from both the Western and Japanese releases, as well as from the comics or something.
There was like a novelization in America.
Yeah, and they took some of the story elements from there. Obviously, in Blaster Master Zero, you're not in Sophia 3, which is the tank. You're in Gaia Sophia, which is a new tank that is made by Jason, and the robot's name I've forgotten right now. And I don't even know if it's Jason.
It's a surprised amount of lore to Blaster Master.
Oh yeah. And
yeah,
I'm
so
also
it was
sure
really-
in Blaster Master in the original NES version, when you fight Fred, the frog, you kill Fred the frog. But in Blaster Master Zero, you fight Fred the frog and he becomes a normal frog again, and then you have him for the rest of the game, I think.
I hope you're taking notes, Doom and Aten and everyone else in the audience. We will be testing.
I didn't. Is Aten even still here, or has he gone to sleep?
He is. No, he's here.
I'm basically dropping off.
But yeah, so you know, cool early Switch game, like a really lovely update, and then they just shadowed like this wasn't leaked at all.
No.
Like yeah, surprise! Here's a sequel to this well-regarded early smaller game on the Switch. And you have got it, haven't you, Pedz? Have you played it at all?
Yes, I've played a small amount of it because I haven't had chance to play it because I've been playing other games like Sea of Thieves and The Division 2 and Buddha Man.
Impressions have been very good. Early impressions. So
Early impressions are the first area I am in is pretty easy in comparison. I actually find that some of the enemies are a bit more of a pain to start off with. But because of the whole parry system, or whatever the hell they've called it now, that can make things a bit easy. You can just press that button every so often and just kill everything. But it's just pretty fun. I don't know if I'm using it right, because I'm sure one of the things it showed is like if you time it perfectly, you can take out like a load of enemies. But I need to like recheck that because it doesn't tell you anything about it. It's like the area I'm in is kind of a tutorial-like area. So I wonder if maybe if I can progress a little bit more, it'll go into that in a bit more detail, with any detail. Basically, it's like the first area. You have some of the upgrades from the last game. One of them breaks when you get to where you go to, and that's the target, is just getting that fixed, and you do that really quickly. And then you can explore a bit more of the area, and then you can go to a different area completely.
So you did a bit of like, you start off with all the things you had in the last game, but we gotta contrive a reason for you to...
No, you start off with basically the normal blaster of the cannon and rockets, and then they all stay. It's just one other thing you have. You lose, and you get that back. If you're quick, you'd get it back within about 10-15 minutes.
Okay. Because we should say this is a sequel, unfortunately awkwardly titled Blaster Master 02.
Yeah.
So it's just, I guess there's no other way to do that. I don't think you do like the second part 2. It's a bit unfortunate. But yeah,
it sounds like some kind of update, doesn't it? Blaster Master 0.2, you know?
Should call it Blaster Master 0U. That would have got much.
Yeah, and then people would have thought it was an update of like an add-on to Blaster Master 0, and then only about 5 people would have bought it. Just like the Wii and the Wii U.
I would have. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, if you like Blaster Master, you like a Metroidvania style game and a bit of top-down gun action, then it's definitely worth picking up.
What we got left,
Definitely.
Cool. So the next one is Stranger Things game, which I believe is being released at the same time as the TV series on Netflix.
That's right.
Yeah, I think when they announced it initially, again, was back maybe at E3. I can't remember exactly when, or some kind of game conference, and I think it's set just before season 3 of the show.
Oh, really?
Or during season 3. I thought it was just before, but I may be wrong. But it looks like a nice looking SNES game, to be honest. Like a high-end late release.
Yeah, it feels like a mix of influences. It's obviously not like a game that would be contemporary with the show. It's like the show's like the early to mid 80s, isn't it? So it's obviously a fair bit more detail than that. But are we all fans of the show here?
Never watched it. It's never really appealed to me.
Pedz?
I've seen bits.
I've watched the first 5 episodes and I was enjoying it. I just never got back to watching it. I will do that. It's a very cool show. It's all sci-fi and 80s and cool as fuck. So yeah, it needs to be watched.
I've seen every episode. It does wear its influences on its. It's so obviously Stephen King kind of pastiche with a lot of references, but I think they generally are none. I mean, some of them might be a bit wink, not do you remember this, but it is all in service of kind of transporting you back into that
era
period of time. Like, yeah, you got really charming, funny cast of characters that they tend to be quite surprising. Like, there's characters you hate at first, then you end up liking them, and yeah, some proper like Stephen King, like dealing with the unknown, kind of outcast kids trying to work together, and
kind of
yeah,
like the It group.
basically,
Not
yeah,
like,
there's a good bit
similar
of it,
kind of the kind of group with the kids there.
yeah, probably a bit less because I know it, especially the book gets pretty messed up, doesn't it? It's
Yes.
maybe not quite that far, but it's on the way there.
I
it's-
just meant
it's
the
obviously-
kids and not every other
Yeah,
aspect.
no,
but-
yeah, that kind of dynamic, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
outcome when they come together.
No, jeez, I hope.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant with the book. So, what the hell, Ken? Seriously, dude. But yeah, like the show is obviously a monster hit, and still going strong. The second season was generally well liked, and yeah, why not get a, it has. I mean, Dragon's Lair and Dig Dug feature fairly heavily. So, like, it's obviously got a bit of video game buzz in it as well. So yeah,
It's
get a
cool that
little
it does do
isometric
references, yeah.
action game with like cool little pixel versions of the characters. Yeah, why not get on that?
Yeah, I
It's,
think
if we're not
people
gonna get,
should.
like,
I think people
Sorry, go on.
should give the show a chance. Watch a few episodes. It starts off slow, but it does start to get interesting. I genuinely think that people should give that show a chance. I usually, for me personally, I will give the show a full first season. If I don't like it by then, I will stop watching it. It's like Game of Thrones. I give a season and a half, and I just couldn't keep watching it because I was so goddamn bored. Apart from the boobs, because who doesn't like boobs?
I'm
Apart from-
glad you said. But yeah, this game does look really. It is funny because you think about like 15 years ago, this would have been like a PS2, probably like a third-rate, I don't know, hack and slasher kind of. Like, I'm thinking back to like licensed games that many years ago versus now, where we're obviously not getting them often, and this feels like a special case. And it's like, yeah, get an indie dev on there. Why not? Probably.
We had Toy
probably
Story
that-
3 back when that came out.
Well, that's why that was around the time I think they were starting to die down a bit. Cause we still got a few. You know what I mean? Like the PS2 era. Of like,
There's one for
so
everything.
many of them. Yeah.
What was it I was watching?
like
The
a-
show
there was a
Charlie's
24.
Angels. Jesus Christ, that was bad.
Yeah, it's like a 24 game as well. And,
Buffy.
CSI ones. Yeah, Buffy. Yeah. It is like, yeah. If you're gonna, I think people caught on to the quality of those, especially for like a full price release. So it does make more sense for something like Stranger Things. Yeah, just get an indie dev. They'll be low cost, so they can. It doesn't have to be. You could be a little, maybe not risky with it, but you could give them a bit of creativity. And yeah, I think it's a cool idea, honestly. Guess
Next.
the ending.
Right, so this is the last game that was announced. This is Cadence. I assume it's Cadence of Hyrule. So this is some of the creators of Crypt of the Necrodancer, basically given full access to the Zelda IP. Which we could discuss the game. That's fine, but we also need to kind of bring up the fact that Nintendo have allowed an indie developer to use the rights to one of its most iconic and one of its most iconic IPs. It's a big move for Nintendo. They've done it with Ubisoft, which no one thought that was going to work with Mario Kingdoms, and all of a sudden they've done it again. But this is with an indie developer. I mean, in some ways you could maybe say it's even more risk in that sense.
I don't know. I think people who are looking at Cadence of Hyrule are gonna know what to expect from Crypt of the Necrodancer by just looking at that game or playing that game. It's like it's using the Hyrule and Zelda IP,
Yeah.
but it's not trying to like make something different. It's using them as just basically like a palette, if you know what I mean, to the game itself, because it's basically Crypt of the Necrodancer 2. But look, we're in Hyrule. It's basically that.
It's still allowing them to use the name.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is I don't think it's more of a risk than Mario and Rabbids, because that was like a completely new IP, so to speak. It was like a new style of style of game, but you know what I'm saying. It's like they didn't base it on there wasn't like a Rabbids tactical game, and then they thought
there was no previous
Mario
success.
To it. Yeah, whereas Crypt
no
of the
previous
Necrodancer
success.
had that.
But I think it still shows some important growth for Nintendo to be willing to play with other people, like could open up.
A 2019 Nintendo thing to do, not like a 2010 Nintendo thing. Like as you say, can open up. Sorry, what were you going to say? Like it could open up stuff, couldn't it?
I was going to say, there could be a third installment of this, and it could be on the Mario world, or Splatoon world, or do you know what I mean? It opens other. I mean, what this will do for them is, if this is successful, which it probably will be, because Crypt of the Necrodancer. I haven't played Crypt of the Necrodancer, but I've heard it's quite good if you're into that kind of thing.
It's
It is good.
Yeah.
It's a rhythm action game that's very different to other rhythm action games. Most of them you like trying to play along to things, and this you move at the beat of the music, and then you do more you do damage based on the beat and take damage based on messing up the beat, and you walk around a dungeon. It's not like you're trying to hit notes on a fucking guitar or something. It's quite different in that regard, and it's actually rather enjoyable.
I've been thinking about getting it. I've got to be honest. Crypt and the Necrodancer, that is. And if I like that, I'll look at this as well. So it's a possibility for me. But yeah, so I don't have a lot to add in terms of the game because I haven't played Crypt and the Necrodancer. But I just like the fact that we are seeing Nintendo play friendly with other people. We've seen it now for Microsoft, we've seen it with Ubisoft, and we've seen it with these guys now, and it makes you wonder what, or we'll maybe talk about the game, but also a question I want to put to you is, what Nintendo IP do you want to see given to an indie developer? As in, like, take a current indie game that's been developed and make it essentially what they've done here, a second version of the game with a Nintendo IP on top of it.
It's actually quite funny because there was a similar kind of question asked on GRcade by Balladia, I think. And I did answer because he said, or she said, something along the lines of something very minute, like it would just basically two similar kind of games just crossed over. And then I said, it's like Necrodancer and Zelda are kind of different genres, whereas what he said was Hollow Knight and Metroid. But they're very, very similar kind of games. And I said, well, what about Kirby crossed with Hotline Miami? You run around eating the people you need to kill, and instead of picking up weapons, you simply get the enemy's powers for a set amount of time. All top down with the Hotline Miami styled Kirby remixed music.
Is this with the same level of violence as Hotline Miami?
Well, yeah, may as well.
Oh, wow.
But you know what I'm trying to say is, like, you could really take anything and mix it, like, but I wouldn't know myself.
For me, sorry, we were going to say Jazzem?
No, so because I think you make a good point there, Pedz, where like my immediate thought was like, well, the IPs Nintendo aren't really touching. Yeah, maybe like, so I was just thinking like Wave Race or like I did like Red Out, that developer who made that like do F-Zero. But yeah, I think you can get quite creative, as you say, Pedz. Is that where you were going with that too?
No, I was going to say it's something I tend to bring up quite often in these streams, but I'd like to see Concerned Ape be given access to to Zelda, and again, I'd like to see a Stardew Valley styled game in using the Zelda IPs. I think that could be very good. Instead of the town, you have you could expand it and have the whole of Hyrule, and
nice.
Do you know what I mean? And then essentially you've got, you still got your farming. You're kind of your player's Link maybe, but you're like a farmer who then,
would it be set in Twilight Princess then? Because isn't he like a farmer in there? He's a sheep wrangler or something.
Yeah,
goats.
You see what I mean? I'd like to see a Stardew Valley cross with maybe the Zelda IP. I think that could work really well.
I suppose
especially with
you've got
the style
something
as well.
similar with the Runes Factory games, RuneScape, Rune Factory.
Yeah. But again, it's different when you use an IP like Zelda. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I
get
know
it
it's
with
fair
Rune
enough.
Factory,
But if you've got Rune
Yeah.
Factory, you just stick Zelda in as a Link in as a character, and you've got it. They've already kind of got that in a sense. But for me, I don't know. I wouldn't personally want to that because while I like Stardew Valley, it's such just a game you like play for like 10 minutes at a time. Same like Animal Crossing. I want to get really balls deep in, like the like Miami Kirby crossover. That would just be totally fucking messed up. I actually said I didn't want that. I'm just saying, something like that is a lot more a bigger crossover than something like Hollow Knight and Metroid, where you literally could just put the Hollow Knight character in Metroid and play the game, or vice versa. It wouldn't be exactly the same, obviously, but it would be a similar kind of experience. Not much to differentiate from the.
Speaking broadly, one of the things I find very exciting about this is I think as the 3DS went on, I kind of lamented Nintendo stopped doing pixel art games. That pretty much all their games have 3D polygonal models, which I think generally makes sense for a lot of the games, but it's still a bit, like when you get a Metroid 2 remake that has has 3D visuals, but it's like, well, maybe with high-res 2D that would have been cool. And that's why something like this is really exciting to me. Like, we get officially kind of sanctioned new pixel art. Because this looks gorgeous. Like, you guys have seen the trailer, right? It's just such lovely, well-animated, really pristine little sprites. Like, it's so... I know it's a bit divisive. I like the Link's Awakening remake art style.
Yeah,
I would happily have it look like this and pay full price. I would happily do that. I think this looks absolutely lovely, and
I think
I'd like to see.
It looks like the world's like a toy, like a big toy.
But yeah, but this I think I would be up for like more devs who do like really great pixel art, having a lot of Nintendo IPs and just getting that kind of art again. Just being composed because I love pixel art. I know it's intensive to do with any high level of detail, and it's probably doesn't make sense for a lot of Nintendo's releases now, but I'm happy to see it done like that. And I'll tell you what as well, this trailer was so... The way it built up as the Link's Awakening song played in, and I just speaking personally because I love Link's Awakening, as soon as I realised what that was, and the silhouettes of Link and Zelda come in, it's... they're very good at getting you excited, aren't they? They tug at your heart through it in a good way.
Yeah.
It's so cool, and sorry, I know I'm rambling a bit, but one other thing I did think is, how did this come about? Who approached who? Like, do you guys have any theories on that?
I personally, I would say, I don't know who the developer is, but the developer, Nakadansa, probably put some kind of tech demo together, and kind of managed to kind of get in with someone at Nintendo. Maybe they know someone at Nintendo and they're able to. Of all the indie developers they've got, and let's be fair, like indie developers want to go to the Switch, so they can pick anyone. So it'd be a lottery really who gets it. I just think, it must be the developer. It must have been the developer who've gone, we've got this great idea, and they've probably were able to pitch it to Nintendo maybe with a tech demo, and obviously Nintendo liked it. That was personally what I think has happened anyway.
Another game that they could cross over is Smash Brothers in a sense. Not actually Smash Brothers. And Streets of Rage. So you'd have like Mario, Luigi, Link, and I don't know, Samus walking through some kind of like Mushroom Kingdom thing, beating on other characters with metal pipes and knives and
It's a theme of intense violence throughout these suggestions, Pedz.
Well, at the end of the day, they just fun game like Streets of Rage is fucking awesome. Come on, and
Dude, believe me of all people, agree with that.
but and also they could do like I know they could get Treasure to come back if they still and do like a Gunstar Heroes version of like one of the Nintendo IPs. Yeah, Gunstar Heroes.
But yeah, Tim, I think you're probably right. I think it probably was a really
Yeah,
good
gotta
pitch
be
they
them.
did.
Yeah.
I mean, from Nintendo's perspective, it was like, well, it's good, it's good PR for them to seem like quite, it's not like the Nintendo of the early 90s who were ruthless and you had to kind of go, you had to work on their terms. Like
It was their way or the highway.
Exactly.
Nintendo seem to have given out the Zelda IP to more than anyone else that I can think of.
They gave it to
any of the
Camelot,
other thing.
didn't
Capcom.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Capcom, not Camelot. So yeah, Capcom.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did the. Did they do Minish Cap and the Oracle
right.
games?
They did, yeah.
So that's 3 games. I don't know if they did anything else though. But that's what I'm saying. There's a few things there.
Yeah,
Animal
I
Crossing
mean,
don't
obviously there's a
start.
difference between like working with Capcom and working with.
And then did development.
But I do get what you mean. I suppose there is a precedent for it. It's funny because they are obviously very protective of their IP, but they do seem to kind of cleverly seize up opportunities like this that will basically be a net win for everyone, really, won't they? I mean,
Yeah. So I just had a great idea for a cross. What about F-Zero and Rocket League?
oh god, you're speaking to my heart, dude. Holy shit!
That would
Just
be
cancel games
nuts.
forever. Just release that one. We're done.
I'm still waiting for Rocket League 99.
Oh yes, that's right.
Animal Crossing crossed with Terminator 2.
Oh, don't! I want that so bad. I want it so bad. That was in the first episode of this. I brought that up.
Well, it's funny, Pedz, you mentioned Rocket League 99. What Nintendo franchise could be Battle Royale? I know it's a bit of a twist of the question.
Smash
but-
Brothers?
Smash,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
Mario
that's-
Kart?
Mario Kart.
99 people just racing. Whoever gets taken out
Whoever
last
comes last.
wins.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh god.
Splatoon.
What else? Splatoon
Splatoon's
could
obvious,
work,
yeah.
maybe.
I've also
Mario, you all just jump around an entire world, and whoever gets their head squished last wins, so to
Yeah,
speak.
just do the other puzzle games as well. I would probably like wildly excited, like Dr. Mario 99.
Yeah.
Like that's Animal Crossing Cross Don't Starve. That's a good show.
What other battle royale games could they do? Because they could make a new IP, so to speak. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like you could have
Apparently-
Arms. Imagine Arms as a thing as a
Battle Royale arms.
Battle Royale.
100 people in a ring.
All the arms would get like tied into knots if you like.
Oh dear me.
Matt says Mario Kart could work with last place dropping out every lap.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Oh man, he did that on Baby Park actually. Yeah, it's sure enough.
Oh, that'd be nuts, wouldn't it?
Keep it the same size. I don't want it to be expanded at all to accommodate for all the-
You wouldn't be able to
Like,
move.
It'd be like trying to get into London in the morning. It's like, yeah, this is
The
congestion.
thing is, or the best thing is, if you lined up all 99 people, like 99th place would be in front of first place because they would have to it would cover the whole track. Do you know what I mean?
I failed to see the issue, dude. That's
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned new IP. I hope we do get another new IP from them.
Yeah, I wouldn't know
Yeah,
where they would
that's-
go though. What genre they would do.
So like stuff like Splatoon and Arms with them really taking on established ones. They haven't done too much on.
You're saying you'd like an indie developer to kind of cross. What indie developer would you like that have made kind of like the Hollow Knight Metroid suggestion? Which one would you like to see that have done a game that's similar to a already existing franchise of Nintendo's, and then give they a spin on it?
As I say, I think for that's a good opportunity for any other franchise that Nintendo themselves don't really want to. Because then it would be a fairly low-cost venture. So
But
probably
which franchises exactly?
I'm trying to think of who, but like Pilot Wings, Wave Race, F-Zero is the obvious one. There's quite a few we've not seen wheeled out in a while, right? Those are like the ones that come to mind. Do you guys have any?
Not off the top of my head, to be honest. The thing that I'm still rooting for them game. No, I know that's not such, but still trying to find someone who could make a Rogue Squadron game. It's just not going to happen, though.
Rogue Squadron, you said? Oh, well, yeah, that would.
I wouldn't mind seeing the people behind Monster Boy do a Metroid game.
Zelda game.
Oh, I was going to say, get them to do Zelda 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god, let's do a side-scrolling Zelda game again. That'd be, yeah, let's get them on
How do we ban Jazzem?
Pedz, you laid out the plan. We're doing this.
No.
Could you, Jim? Could you imagine what a modern Rogue Squadron game would be like?
Oh, don't. I'm getting wet thinking about it.
Well, I tell you what. To be fair, for their faults, the recent Battlefront games are gorgeous. So.
They are, yeah. Well, the thing is, though, imagine. Just imagine Rogue Squadron 2, because that game is still stunning now. Imagine that put through, like somebody took Ocarina of Time and put it in the Unreal 4 engine. That, but with Rogue Squadron put through the Unreal engine, that would just. That is it. That's all.
I think the Unreal 4 engine. I think some games are very hit and miss for me. Some of them look like
I think Rogue Squadron
off.
would look amazing.
That would look nice. Yeah. I can't remember what I was going to say now. I just read Matt's last message and it kind of put through me. But yeah, there's plenty of games I'd like to see them do. But I wouldn't know where Nintendo's next IP would come from, because like ARMS, I wouldn't have expected them to make, because that was the last newest IP, wasn't it? Big one anyway, and it was kind of something out of left field for me.
Which one was that now? Sorry.
ARMS.
ARMS, yeah.
So I reckon the next IP will be a game based around genital jousting.
Genital jousting.
That's already. Do you want them to merge with that? Because that is a game, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
There's two of them. I think it's genital jousting 2 now.
Yeah.
I've never played any of them, but.
Do you want to meld with that? Do I want to know the answer?
Let's think. Probably Mario. You could have a one genital jouster with a Mario hat. Oh, a Luigi hat.
Just a Mario hat, so never call it a day. Denny that bad. Some imagination for the rest of us.
You could have one wearing a pink dress.
Well, that's nice.
Waluigi would be the biggest one of them all because he's such a dick.
The girthiest one.
Hey, Waluigi. Is there any thing else we would like to discuss about the Direct now, guys? Any thoughts of like...
Any favourites? Any favourite games? Any ones that you're particularly...
Yes, for me it is the very last game and Blaster Master 02, which is Cannons of Hyrule. I'm not sure if that's a full game or like part of Crypt of the Necrodancer 2. I don't know what's happening there.
It's painted as a sequel to Crypt of the Necrodancer, but with... My thought would have been that it is a sequel that's going to have the Zelda content on Switch, but I'm still not really clear on that. I don't know if they've fully clarified, because the original game was like on everything, right? Like it was on the PlayStation platforms, Xbox, PC. So it would be a bit of a shame the way if this was just an exclusive. But maybe it'll be like a Soul Calibur thing where it has the Zelda content on Nintendo, and then maybe something else elsewhere. But yeah, your Valiant brings up a good...
State of Play, I thought it was tomorrow. I didn't realise it was today.
Well, I think he's just been talking about the fact it's happening.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I was going to mention State of Play is happening over the next week. I'm not sure exactly when, but we'll talk about that next week properly.
Yeah.
As well as... State of Play is, if memory serves, is a little Nintendo Direct style video from Sony. If memory serves me correctly.
Microsoft are doing something like that as well.
Yes, they are. Which is I was also going to mention. It's called ID at Xbox something, and it's basically going to be a very similar thing to the indie Nintendo Direct. All of this we'll talk about next week because obviously I don't think they've happened yet.
No,
No.
Yeah, I think it's interesting they're doing that. It's obviously inviting jokes of it's like move and connect all over again, especially if Microsoft's doing. But it is also like it's a good format. It works. I like this punchy kind of. It feels a bit less phony than a conference with just suits on stage.
Yeah.
Well, you see, guys, the stream I'm meant to do on this channel tomorrow at 9 PM would be like Mario Kart or Final Fantasy, but the State of Play is on at 9 PM. So if there is another 2 people available at 9 PM, we could jump on here, watch it all together, and do live reactions.
Yep, I'm good. I'm good with that. Let's do it.
That way we could do live reactions, and we could still discuss it on the podcast anyway next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I don't mind doing that, but I think it's about time we wrap up, guys. It's 10 to 12. We started at roughly 10 because we were really late, because I had to mess with the stuff. But obviously there will be more to discuss next week, as well as State of Play and ID It Outside Xbox, I think it's called. I hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry about the technical difficulties today. For some reason, Discord was being a dick. The stream cut out, and all I can do is apologise for that. Even if I was recording it separately to the stream, it wouldn't have mattered, because where I disconnected from Discord, and Discord went to the point where people were disconnecting, or their voice was disappearing or going robotic-y, recording would have made no difference. So again, all I can do is apologise for that, and hopefully it won't happen again.
Hopefully it wasn't too disruptive.
Yes. One thing I will say is the only way for us to sort that out is if we all got together in a room. The problem is none of us live anywhere near each other.
Well, actually, the 3 of us don't actually live that far away. It's not outside the realms of possibility.
Well, I can't drive, so I could walk.
That's alright, we can all.
I could walk to Swansea.
We'll convene at your place.
Could do, as long as we bring the beer.
Matt says, "Can I fall asleep during the State of Play?"
As long as you take a part on the actual live reactions, yes. If you're in chat, not then we don't care, because we ain't gonna know unless you fall asleep and someone managed to hit the ZZZZZ button key even repeatedly. Then I don't think we'll know. Oh, I can Doom. I read it wrong. I can Doom. Yeah, Doom will fall asleep. Doom always falls asleep. He's sleeping right now in the Doom.
No, he don't.
Sleeping right? Yeah, I'm just sleep talking. It's sheer coincidence.
I think Aten's fallen asleep.
Well, funny enough, I was going to say Slam had connection problems, so he backed out because his internet kept dropping. And Aten, he's not very tuned in with Nintendo, and he's got work in the morning, and he was falling asleep, so he sends his apologies.
Nah, that's not good.
Yeah, I think the best thing for him to have done was to have watched the direct.
It wouldn't have meant much because he doesn't.
Oh no! I don't mean it in that regard. I mean, if he had watched the direct, he could have at least had an opinion on the on things, even if it was just like, look good, look shit, it's something he could have said to keep himself engaged, so he didn't feel like he was being pushed aside. Because we don't want anyone to feel like they are not wanted or anything like that. But anyway, on this note, it is time to go, guys.
Yep. Good night, guys. We'll see you soon. Well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.